Good morning, y'all. This is the part of the broadcast where we let YouTube settle in, get all of the connections all figured out and everything, and send out notifications. And most importantly, I let my clock with the Westminster chimes get its chiming done. So, as soon as it's finished, I'll push the magic button and we will go live. Hey, y'all. Happy Sunday to you. Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to live Q&A number 32. Today we're going to talk about the video I posted this morning on the third monogram video that I did. First of all, I would like to make a legitimate apology to the folks out there that are relying on closed captioning. YouTube has been having a hairy knicker fit here lately. And one of the casualties is the closed captioning system. I just simply cannot get into closed captioning to get in and edit and post good closed captions as normal. I get stream loading errors and it just will not let me get in there. And it's not just me that's having the problem. It's other folks as well. And it's basically being caused by several things going on all at once. And so as quick as I can get in and edit those closed captions, I will get in, edit them, get them set the right way. So for right now, I am not responsible for any misspellings or garbled communications. I'll do what I can just as quick as I can. And it is a YouTube issue. I've tried it on 3 different computers on a couple of different internet service providers. So I've done everything I can do on my end. It is a YouTube issue. So the other thing is the reason for the apology this morning about me thinking that this was going to make a few people pretty angry is because I have caused people a lot of unnecessary work just simply from forgetting that option was even there. I mean, I've been doing it too, but I've been going through and manually trimming vectors and joining vectors, and it has just caused more work than it should have by not simply remembering that stinking icon was sitting there staring me straight in the face. So I apologize to people who've been banging their heads against the wall trying to figure out how to join vectors when that would have done it all in one click. So it was just one of those things. I was getting ready to start recording this video, and it suddenly struck me that, wait a minute, what am I doing here? Let me get in here and use this. And sure enough, boom, it was done. So other than that, now that all that's over with, let me do a little bit of a roll call here and see who all's in the house. We have Jason Kelsey, good to see you today from Texas. Matt from Awesome Wood Things. Kurt Briegel, how you doing today, Kurt? Ice Creams checking in from Italy. Hope everything is going better for you this week than it did last week. Hope things are improving for you, my friend. Stay safe and do what you have to do. Mario Medina is with us today. Mike Gallo, Leo Steger checking in from Ohio. How you doing today? Let's see, Clem Gordon, Dave Krause, and Thomas Grimm, Steve Nealon from Harneo Media, webmaster to the stars, and everyone who's anyone. There's Javi from Javi's Woodshop. I think you're up at the northern compound this time, not down in the south. Thanks for joining me. Sorry I didn't get back with you for your live stream. Lunch took a little bit longer than I anticipated. Let's see, David Roby, how you doing this morning or this afternoon now officially? Jim Bashirs, Wendell Holland, Kevin Els checking in from South Africa. Truly an international crowd. Les Clemens, Troi Pritchard, Richard Weiss, Gary Hammett, Charles Wallace, Robert Repine, David Crook, Joni Jensen. I am not going to attempt to pronounce that name, but thank you for checking in from Morocco. Dave Clements, how you doing, David? Baron Black, Il Peleg checking in from Israel. Jim Hester, Nathan Green, Jose Rodriguez, Matthew Paul, Fernando Martinez, Aaron Hansen. Okay, now let's get into it and let's figure out what's going on. So, before I get going any deeper into this, actually, I don't have very far to go deeper. Are there any questions on today's video? Hopefully that cleared up a whole bunch of questions. And as I said before, I do apologize for not even thinking about that ding dong tool earlier. It's just, again, out of sight, out of mind, and I didn't pay any attention to it. When I think of all the people that have emailed me and I have told them how to go back in and manually clean things up when all they had to do was draw a shape around it and clear it. Oh, boy. Bobby Orr from Grants Pass. How you doing? Right up the road from me, about 30, what would it be, about 32 miles, something like that, 35 miles. We're going to have to meet up for coffee one day at Dutch Brothers. Just say the word. Shoot me a message. So, are there any questions at all about today's video? Any questions at all? I'm guessing there aren't any. Oh, holy cow. Island Engravers. Thank you very, very much for the super chat. That's way up above and beyond. Let's see. They have a question. Have you ever used composite plastic nails to hold down your workpieces on your CNC router? There are a couple of manufacturers that produce composite nail guns, one from Omer and another from Senko. Okay, the short answer is no, I have not. I've not used any of their nail guns, but I'm very, very interested in them. I've heard there are a couple of issues with them, mainly in the use of plywood. If you have the pressure set a little bit too high, they can shatter if there's something in between the plies. But from what I gather, that's a rare occurrence. I know that the guns themselves are pricey and the nails are pretty pricey, but as compared to running into a wood screw and having to replace a bit, it's kind of a trade-off. I have used Senko's staple guns and brad nailers in the past. I like their products. I've just not used the plastic nails yet. Part of me really wants to get one. So this is a message to, I believe it's Talon is the other brand. There's another brand. Any of you folks out there who are manufacturers of composite nails and nail guns, if you would like to send me one for a review, I will put it through its paces, and that's a promise. I can't guarantee a good review, but I'll be honest about it. So yeah, the long and the short answer is no, I've not used them personally. I've heard very good things about one, and I would like to try one. If you're a fan of Frank Howarth, he used one on his big Avid machine in the video he released this morning, where he was making a huge, very ambitious project for a, what's it called? A French cleat hung organization system. And it really worked out very, very well for him. I've been thinking seriously about getting one. It's just they're a little bit pricey, and all the money this year is going to build the first shop shed. So, okay, let's see. Ronald Leisure, could you please tell us what else you don't know so we don't get mad? You want the whole list or just the top 10? As I don't think any of us have time to go down the list. Let's see, Joni Jensen. I was wondering if that font comes with all of the scrolling. I assume you mean all the scroll work in it? Yes, it does. And that's something I didn't mention. If you go to that website, or if you go to the font website and just search for initial, there are several initial fonts. There's like 5 pages of different fonts that are just simply the decorative initials. Really cool. But again, fair warning, you can easily overload your computer with fonts that you may or may not ever use. But yes, that particular font, the Gaudi initial EN, does come with all that scroll work. So let's see. Javi says, yes, he's used the Senko nail guns, and it's Raptor, not Talon. That's the other brand, yes. Raptor and Senko are the 2 good ones. I just haven't used one yet. Let's see. Nathan Green, could you talk a little about 2-rail sweeps? I have one video on 2-rail sweeps. I'll put a link to it in the description when we go, when this becomes a regular video. Just write myself a note. It's pretty basic, but it gets the point across. If you have ever used the molding toolpath in VCarve, the 2-rail sweep is just, instead of 1 drive rail, you're using 2 drive rails. They don't have to be parallel, meaning one can kind of bow out or go this way, or they can even flare out, and it'll still sweep that profile. But I do plan on doing some more videos later this year that involve using the 2-rail sweep. So I hope that answers your question. Wendell Holland, when you join vectors, what tolerance do you use? It depends. I start with the default tolerance, which is 0.0004, 3 zeros and a 4, so not quite half a thou. And if that won't join them, I'll get rid of a 0, so it'll be 4 thousandths. And if that won't join them, I'll just keep moving. On some of my videos, you'll see, I never call attention to it, but you'll see where I have played with that tolerance a little bit. It just depends. If you make it too big, you can find vectors that are 2 inches away from each other will suddenly join. That's not what you want to do. So I just kind of play around with it. But almost always I will start with the 3 zeros and a 4 to the right of the decimal. So let's see. Dave Matthews, you forgot to join in on time. Well, shame on you. I mean, what else have you got to do with your day? Ron Owensby, not sticking around, not feeling well. Hope you get to feeling better there, Ron. Let me see here. I got to catch up with the chat. Let's see. Stephen Toronto, welcome aboard. Edward Snow, thank you so much for your latest monogram video. It was amazing. The previous video, I was so confused. Well, between you and me, Edward, so was I. So that's why I'm trying to make things easier for everybody. So, awesome wood things, Matt. Fonts. I need every font ever created, loaded at all times. My computer runs like crap, though. Yeah, that's my situation too. You click on the draw text tool, and I don't know if anybody has noticed or not, but about half the time in my videos, there's a little quick cut, and it goes. I speed up that little bit of footage there, so it's a clean cut. It doesn't look like a skip edit, but I speed up. It'll take up to 30 seconds for that thing to load because it's got to go through and load up all my fonts. So we should start a Facebook group about font obsessed makers. Yeah, that's just what you need, Matt. Another Facebook group. Troi Pritchard, the author of that font, has many more good fonts. Yes, he does, Troi, but do a little bit of due diligence. If you look on his website, some of them are not free when it comes to commercial use. So be careful. Les Clemens, why is that the fonts are not clean when they post them for downloading? Well, Les, those fonts were never meant, they weren't created with VCarving in mind. They're created to be printed on paper or used on a website or something like that, where it's either going to be filled with color or filled with ink or filled with laser toner. So it doesn't matter if there are crisscrosses. All they want is a neat little spur that sticks out of an edge. Let me get into Aspire here, and I'll make sure that I am screen sharing. I am. Okay. If we get into Aspire here, they have, let's say, a little spur right here. They just want this spur. They don't care if they've drawn a second vector and laid it over, because on a printed page, it's going to be filled with ink. So it doesn't matter if there's another vector that runs from here down to here and back up. It only matters to us. So it's just not important to them. What we're doing is we're taking something that was never meant to be used in this context and converting it to our context. So, and it's a common situation and a common complaint, and a lot of the font publishers and font authors are starting to get the message, and they're starting to make their fonts a little bit more VCarve friendly. But you've got to remember that these fonts have been out for years. Some of these were original to, we're looking at some of these things were created in the 70s. So, the old fonts that are out there, are pretty numerous. So, but that's the long answer to your short question. That's why they don't come pre-cleaned up like that. Okay, let's see. In Vectric, I imported an STL that is in a sunken dish shape. How do I ensure the outer edges are flush with the outer surface? I tried and it looked right, but when I carved it, it was slightly below. Go into, I don't know if you're using VCarve or Aspire, but go into your modeling tab and add a zero plane to the top. And in fact, I'll put a link to a video I did on using the zero plane for just that case. So, writing a note to myself. All right. I will put a link to that video in the description box of this video as soon as we're done with the live stream. But adding a zero plane on the top of your, over the top of your model will cure that problem. So, let's see. Doug W., as far as rigidity and precision goes, how does your CNC stand up against something like Laguna? Well, obviously, my machine's made out of plywood. So it's not going to stand up against something like the big 8x4 Lagunas. It may hold its own against some of the smaller ones, but I'm a home hobbyist. Precision-wise, I think they're equal. Strength-wise, rigidity-wise, the Laguna is going to be more rigid simply because it's made out of metal, not plywood. So, but you're comparing apples to oranges, where I have probably, well, not probably, I have right at $2,200 in my machine. You can't buy a Laguna for that. So it's a trade-off. So, Patrick, hey, how you doing? Good to see you joining in. I watched the video. Dang, that does make it easy. Yeah, it does make it easy. So let's see. Yeah, Hobby makes a good point here. In addition to the spur comment I made about font, many of the font authors leave these little telltale imperfections there to differentiate them and identify their font for copyright purposes. There's truth to that. There is truth to that. So, um, do I know of a way to convert JPEG files to DXF files without the images being horribly distorted? I depends on what you mean by distorted. There are certain ways you can prepare a JPEG to reduce that distortion. I think you're talking about the noise in the background. Better bet for me, what I usually do is I take it into a photo editing program. I have not gotten into the photo editor in VCarve or Aspire yet. I'll get into that a little bit better, and I will pump up the saturation, play around with the gamma a little bit, and try to get as high contrast as I can without going full out black and white. I'll convert to grayscale, play around with saturation and gamma I'll play around with saturation before I convert to grayscale, and to try to get as good a contrast as I can get. I will do a video on that. I've had one in the background that I've been going to work on for a while. I just haven't gotten there yet. But I hope that's what you're talking about. Let's see, Romeo ND, what is better, VCarve or Aspire? Depends. It depends on what you're going to do. If you're basically carving 2D shapes with maybe a little bit of V-carving here or there, VCarve is better. If you're making 3D models, Aspire is better. If you're not making 3D models but occasionally cutting one, VCarve will do it just fine. I worked with VCarve for 5 years and upgraded to Aspire last year. And there are some major differences when it comes to 3D only. But with the exception of the 3D tools, everything in VCarve is in Aspire as well. There's nothing for V-carving, drilling, profiling, or anything else in Aspire that isn't in VCarve as well. But yes, Romeo ND, you're correct. VCarve plus 3D model making and editing equals Aspire, yes. Aspire is the top of the line. VCarve is there for people who don't need it. I don't do a lot of 3D modeling. I'm starting to get into it and get into it even more. But if you don't do 3D model making or editing, I work just fine with VCarve for 5 years. So, let's see. eCabinets tips and tricks. For those of you who didn't see my shout out of them last week, go to last week's live Q&A and check them out. There's links to their channel in that description. And links. They run a tidy little Keebler tree over there. I really dig them. So, is there a way to clean up the font in the Vectric software, then create your own true type font? I have no idea how to author a font. I don't know the ins and outs of font creation. I would imagine you would need to go into a font creation software, because I don't know what goes into making a true type font. I would imagine there is a way. I just wouldn't know how to do it. So, let's see. Thomas Grimm. off topic. My YouTube used to have a drop down at the upper left that showed my subscription list with mark for new posting. Now it's empty. Any ideas what to do? Right off the top, over on that you click the 3 horizontal bars. You'll see down below the YouTube logo, it'll say home, trending, and subscriptions. That's the only thing I know. I know the list that you're talking about, and I don't know why they got rid of it, but it's just part of the new interface, part of this whole shift over from Creator Studio to just Studio. So, let's see. Hi, Mark. While cutting on the X path, the router chatters sometimes. X minus path. Okay. Hi, Mark. While cutting on the X minus path, the router chatters sometimes, but is fine on the X plus path. I'm using a 1/8 end mill. Yes, that's typical. And that's because when you're cutting, for instance, around a perimeter, doing a profile cutout, you're cutting with the grain in one direction and against the grain in the other direction. So essentially, you're climb cutting on one direction and you're conventional cutting with the other. You're probably going to get chatter. About all you can do is adjust your tool path to slow it down a little bit. But I find that I just find a happy medium. Obviously going with the grain on a conventional cutting strategy, you're not getting any chatter. I find something that's going to do that fairly quickly, but isn't going to jump all over the place when it climb cuts. But there's really not much you can do about that except change your tool path so it goes one direction, lifts up, and goes that, and nobody wants to do that. Believe me. So, yeah, that's normal. That's going to happen. About all you can do is adjust your feed rate so that it doesn't chip out and tear out. So, Jeff Stryker, do you ever use a V-bit, 100 degree, 110, 120, 130, etc.? I haven't yet. Basically, those are for large text where you don't want a lot of depth. And we're talking something 6, 8, 10 inches tall, where if you tried to use a 90 degree V-bit, it would cut through if you didn't go with a flat depth. So if you were cutting, say, in sign foam, a tall sign and you want a VCarve, then what you would do is use one of those real shallow angle bits. So you still get that, that faceted bottom and square corners, but it doesn't go real deep. And I just haven't needed it. I've been thinking about getting a 120 degree bit just to try one out and play with it, because I'm one of those people. I don't like to buy tools if I don't have a project for it. But sometimes if I buy a tool, I will invent a project for it. So I might be getting into them. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, Nathan Green wants to know, do you sell any projects online? No. And what do you think is the best platform to sell on? I think what's more important than the platform is promotion, because any platform that works for you is going to be the best. I mean, if you are fine with Etsy's promotion scheme and Etsy's fees and what they charge for hosting and what have you, then that's best for you. If you prefer eBay, their fees and their system, then that's the best for you. If you want to create your own website and come up with a web store, Steve Nealon at Harneal Media takes care of mine, then that's the best for you. It less important than the platform is the promotion, because there are millions, literally millions of Etsy stores out there. You have to figure out how you're going to get people to yours, because it's real easy to get lost. It's real easy to get buried in the background noise. So you have to be able to get the word out. But the same is true with anything. The same is true with a Facebook page or a Facebook group. I don't sell my stuff online. I don't do this for a living. I basically handle one-off custom pieces and custom commissions and gifts to friends and family. You know, Aaron Hansen makes a good point here. Between eBay and PayPal, add 15%. Yes, they're all going to charge a fee. So you have to price accordingly. If you need to get, and I'm just picking numbers out of thin air here, if you need to get $20 for something, you need to figure out what the fees are going to be and raise your price so you will realize that $20 after all your fees are taken care of. So if that means you charge $25 and they take out their fees and you get your 20, perfect. You're happy. So there's a lot of things to take in consideration, but mainly it's about promotion. You have to be able to get your name, your face, your stuff out there. And if I have something to sell, I know a few owners of brick and mortar stores here locally, and I sell through them. Um, I don't do a lot of sales as my work. You know, I'm retired. I'm doing this for fun. So most of the things I make, to be honest, I give away. They're gifts for my kids, my grandkids, and my wife, and things we just need around the house. So, Oregon Batman, I see you in the chat, and it's fortuitous that I do. This is not going to be a weekly feature, but I'm going to try to make it a regular feature. YouTube made it real easy for us content creators to go in and look at who subscribes to us. And I found a gentleman by the name of Al who I was looking at. I was looking at my subscribers and I saw Oregon Batman. Who could see the name Oregon Batman and not check it out? And it just so happens that Al over here at Oregon Batman not only lives in Oregon, he lives up in the north, more central portion of the state from me. Not only is it a cool name, this guy is hot and heavy into DIY trailers and RVs, and he's in the process right now of a teardrop trailer build that is absolutely awesome. So, of course, I had to check out his channel. Of course, I had to subscribe to him, as you can see. And when you head over to his page, after you hit that subscribe button and you hit that little bell, check out the videos. He's not only in the middle of a teardrop trailer build, this guy is amazing. He did another DIY camp trailer build, travel trailer build, which I have not gotten completely into. I'm just starting the series. But then he did one of the coolest things I've seen in a long, long time. When he put the front window in his travel trailer, he needed a stone guard. And these things are prohibitively expensive. I mean, they are outrageous. So what do you do when you can't afford to buy it? You make it. So he has a little mini series here on creating the mold and eventually creating a custom stone guard for the front end of his trailer out of fiberglass. And this thing is cool. This is just downright awesome. So if you're like me, if you're an old trailer nut or a new trailer nut, just like the thought of building a teardrop, check it out. I mean, Al is dynamite at what he does here, and he breaks it down so into the basics so that folks, like you and me can understand it. And I got to tell you, Al, the build bug is biting me hard. It has climbed up one side of me and down the other. And if you were any closer, I would be over to your house knocking on the door. So thanks very much for letting me give you a shout out. check out Oregon Batman. I'll put a link to his video. Well, there is a link to his channel down in the description of this video now. If you look, it's under awesome subscribers. You won't be sorry. It's very cool. Let's see. Larry Duggar said, Mark, I tried your video on the split initial plaque this week. It turned out awesome. Thanks for your explanation. You know the deal, Larry. Internet law number one, pics or it didn't happen. But thank you very much. And I'm glad you guys are getting some use out of these. I watch you guys on Facebook who post pictures and videos, and I see the stuff you're doing, and man, you guys are awesome, you know. And believe me, if you're a subscriber of mine, I am going through and I'm looking at your channels. And I will ask permission. I won't just dive in and show your stuff. So if you get an email, questions about your YouTube channel, yes, it's me. I'm going to email you from my website and ask your permission to shout you out on a live Q&A, like I just did with Al up here at Oregon Batman. Doug W., I've been following his trailer builds. Good man, Doug. All the cool kids are. Les Clemens, I would love to see you getting into a teardrop. I would love to see me getting into a teardrop too. Because I don't have one to get into. But if I did, I would use it. So, let's see. Jeff Stryker says, I'm trying to keep my spoil board pristine, but it seems I'm being too cautious. Should I just go hog wild and cut into it and drill into it? My guess is yes. It depends. It's entirely up to you. To me, that's what a spoil board is for. It's to take all the abuse so your CNC table doesn't. I surface mine. I need to surface mine pretty soon. I should probably do a video on that when I do, although I've already done one in the past. I surface mine. I take 5 to 10 thou, maybe 20 thou off of it, depending on how deep I've cut into it. But it's there to take the abuse. But it's totally up to you. I know a lot of people who like to keep their spoil board pristine. If it doesn't bother you, if what you're doing works for you and doesn't bother you, don't worry about it. Keep doing what you've been doing. It's just fine. I don't know that I'd say go hog wild, but I look at it like this. If you get a setting off slightly and you cut into the spoil board, it's not a tragedy. That's what it's there for. Surface it and drive on. So before anybody makes a big change like that, I usually ask them, why do you want to change? If what you're doing works for you and it's not a lot of extra hassle, why change? Is it just for the sake of change? Oh, well. If you're not getting any benefit, I don't know why you would want to do it. So, Dave Clemens, teardrops are often awesome. My friend has one outside of my fifth wheel. I'd love to have a teardrop for smaller trips. Yeah, and teardrops are awesome. I've known a couple people who have had them. I've never owned one myself. I've helped build, but I've never owned. And I'd love to have one. In fact, my wife is, I've mentioned it before, my wife is a spinner, a weaver, a knitter. She does everything but raise the sheep because I had to put my foot down somewhere. And she does a lot of demonstrations where she dresses up in period attire, usually, something 18th or 19th century. And there's a lot of equipment that has to come along with us. There's, the spinning wheels and knitting equipment and weaving equipment and things like that. So we have a Jeep. I've been wanting to build a trailer to store all that equipment in and use as kind of a backdrop for these demonstrations. So I'm looking into something like a shepherd's hut, possibly a Vardo, the gypsy wagon. It just depends. We're not real sure which way we want to go. So I've been thinking about building a shepherd's hut to store all that equipment. I just do not, I just don't have any place to store it, and I don't have any place to build it. But that may change pretty quick. We'll see what happens. So, let's see. Oh, Dave Matthews, I have a teardrop about 75% built in my garage, just waiting on it to warm up to get back to work on it. Go find yourself a dead pop-up camper and get to work on one. That's what my trailer is. It's a dead pop-up camper. That's what a trailer I sold when we moved up here was, a dead pop-up camper. Yes. Nathan Green, do you make other items with your machine other than signs like specialty boxes? I don't make any boxes. I have, and there's nothing wrong with making boxes. I make all kinds of things. In fact, that's a direction I want to try to take my channel into, but I've been failing miserably here, is I'm trying to get people over the idea that CNC routers are just sign making machines. They're not. They make things a heck of a lot more than stuff to hang on the wall. And I want to try to go in that direction, but it seems that no matter what I'm going to start to do a project on, you got to hang it up on the wall. I mean, I've got 2 shelves to make. I got to hang it up on the wall. I want to get into making some furniture. I want to get into making some boxes. And I just have to get the right project. I don't make things just for a video. There has to be a purpose for it. So if I don't need it around the house or it's not going to somebody, I won't make it because I don't want a bunch of stuff just sitting around the house. We already have that. So IL Peleg, does your wife have a YouTube channel as well? She has one, but there is nothing on it. And mainly because she doesn't want to learn how to edit the video, and I don't have time to do hers as well as mine. So she has a couple of videos shot. We just haven't edited them and got them up there. So, but, you know, so there would be nothing to promote. So, Mark, what is the most popular V-bit to use? Depends on who you ask, Marcel. My go-to bit is a 90-degree V-bit, but a lot of people use a 60-degree V-bit as their go-to. So it just depends. I would say if you're just starting out or don't know whether you're going to, which one you're going to use, I would get one of each, a 90-degree V-bit and a 60-degree V-bit, and then you can bounce back and forth. So, Edward Snow, I got to get going here pretty quick. Edward Snow, can I use the same tool database in VCarve Pro and Aspire? Yes. And in fact, if you upgrade to Aspire from VCarve Pro, one of the first things it'll ask you is, do you want to import your tool database into Aspire? And it's just click and it's done. So, Roger the Tinker says, Mark, you need a bigger table for doing furniture. Roger, I need a bigger shop for doing furniture. Right now I could get a footstool and that'd be about it. But yeah, your point is well taken. You're right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end this right now. If you're into teardrops, if you're into travel trailers, or if you're into just cool stuff, get over and check out Oregon Batman. Give him a subscriber, subscribe to his channel. And you will binge watch it. So I will get the video, link to the 2-rail sweep video and the zero plane video put in the description below of this one. And I see we have more questions popping up. I will get to them next session. I do need to take off. I have people waiting on me, so I apologize for that. So thank you for spending Sunday with me, y'all. I know we're living in strange times right now, but just stay strong, stay safe, do what you know you're supposed to do. Get out in the shop and do something cool. That's the easiest way to stay safe. And if you can't get any shop time, hit some YouTube videos, man. Check out Oregon Batman, subscribe to his channel, and binge watch him. That'll kill a couple of days, believe me. I know. Been there, done that. I'm going to order the t-shirt. Till then, y'all have a good Sunday. Take care, and thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.